Welcome to Rapid Fire Manufacturing with Johnny Goode at MSP Manufacturing in Bloomington, Indiana. He is the president and owner. Johnny, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming down.
Yeah, I want to jump in. Your story is very unique. How people get into manufacturing, it's always different. So when you hear someone's story that comes from, the kind of public servant side, that's really fascinating. So if you don't mind kind of sharing that whole story.
Yeah, absolutely. So prior to this, I went to IU for entrepreneurship and corporate innovation. But while I was in college, I also went through the police academy, really fell in love with law enforcement. So I worked as a patrol officer, a narcotics detective, SWAT operator, and did some other assignments, but did that for about 11 years. Met my now wife in 2019, New Year's Eve of 2019, and then she was pregnant with my oldest son, and I was working undercover at the time, and I just didn't want to do that for 20 years. I also didn't want to have to worry about someone other than myself, because if I was targeted or things like that, I could control that, but like the thought of them going after my wife or kids based off of the assignment. So I started working, I told my dad, I was like, I think I'm about making the switch out of law enforcement. And I was like, I think I'm going to try to maybe like look for some consulting jobs or something. And he's like, why don't you try coming to work at MSP? And at that time, it's the pandemic. Our biggest customer at the time is Boeing. So that's not a great strategy when, they're shutting things down. Everything's just running slower because of, uncertainty of what's really going on. And so luckily I had leveraged some connections I had from guys that former teammates of mine that had like firearm companies and needed a manufacturer. So that kind of got us into the firearms industry during the pandemic. And then that now has increased to do a little bit more in that industry, but we became very less reliant on Boeing. But I noticed pretty quickly that I really liked manufacturing. It was cool to see some of the products we were producing to, going straight to the DoD. We did get like some quotes of like an M320 grenade launcher, which I had used in the Army. So I was like, oh man, I've used this system. So I thought that was cool. The people were great. I knew I was going to come in when like we had furloughed employees. I'm coming in as the boss's son, so I knew I wasn't going to be super popular. I was really unpopular when I decided to put a new ERP system in, like in the first year. Yeah, so I did that by myself. Learned a lot about how to do things and how not to do things. But it taught me about our core processes since I was having to put all of that stuff in. Law enforcement and military gave me a lot of leadership skills and people management skills and how to, think through stressful situations and unique situations. I really credit to like SWAT giving me innovation because like I had to come up with a creative strategies sometimes. I love manufacturing. I still love going to work, and that was the biggest reason I left law enforcement. I didn't enjoy going to work anymore, and that's when I was like, time to leave.
Yeah. So did you have this, I'm trying to think how to word this, before you started manufacturing, or I guess when you started, did you have like a deeper appreciation for like firearms, how they work? Because it's like, wow, now I'm seeing how some of this stuff's manufactured.
Yeah, like you see like a price for the part and you're like, man, that seems expensive. But then like you see how like much goes into that one part and you're like, that's way too cheap.
Yeah.
Like it's weird to be on the other side because like if you look at like a strip lower receiver for an AR-15, you're like, that seems expensive. And then you quote it like and how much time it costs to like laser deburr the machine cycle time. And you're like, how are people mass producing that making good money? But it does give you more appreciation of just how much things are made, and especially people like they want things made in America, but they want the Chinese prices. So it's not feasible because we have laws and we pay people living wages.
Exactly. So what's the history of MSP from your family side? How did that go?
Yeah, so the company itself was founded in 1943 by a different family. So founded out of a gentleman's garage that was making tachometers for World War II. And, probably pretty common that everything got converted to war efforts during that time.
Yes.
It changed, was bought out by at least one different family member before 2002. My dad purchased it in 2002. He had owned all of these buildings from a different acquisition that he had. So he sold the company but kept the real estate. So he's really looking at trying to get tenants in here to pay him rent, and then ended up buying MSP, moving it to Bloomington. And then I'd only had a couple employees, 2 machines, and, a lot less revenue. And so he just exploded it. And then now we're facing the problem is like where they put the machines is where the power is, but not really the best part. So we've seen a lot of growth. The last 2 years have been some of our highest revenue years, and things that we thought were like our ceiling have now become our floor, and now we're hitting different ceilings. But that's been really cool. And my dad and I have, so I've been working here since 2020. I was vice president 2021 and then president 2023. So this is my fourth year as president. But in that entire time, my dad and I have not really gotten into a heated argument. We've had disagreements, but we talked rationally, and it's been really cool to get closer to my dad. Because when I was in law enforcement, like I was working nights, crappy hours, missing all holidays. You know, my priority was just catching bad guys.
Yeah.
And so I've always respected my dad, thought he was a great role model, but I'm so much closer to him now. And I have a much greater appreciation of the stress he had to go through and to provide the life he has provided for me.
So was he running MSP though at the different location then?
So no, he bought it from that location and then moved it.
Okay. Okay.
So he did that as
So
part
he
of the
doesn't have a manufacturing background either?
No, his is all, financial and accounting background. So and then we even lived in Southern California. He had another person running the company. So he's acted as more of like the chairman, CEO, but not really the one driving operations. And I think that's kind of the biggest change that happened when I took place is I wanted to know how everything worked. So like I put myself through AS 9100 audit, like I exposed myself to all the aspects of business, and then just building that rapport with the guys on the floor has made us like why we're so innovative is because I'll say a good idea, what I think is a good idea. They're like, no, that's a terrible idea. But this is great like line. So they're very helpful. Sometimes I think of things they didn't think of. Other times they think of things I didn't because we're just at two different perspectives. Yeah. I've definitely brought new technology in, and that's what they really like. And then they'll have recommendations like, we want something to do this. And I'm trying to get them more exposed to that element because I don't want to always be the guy going to I get to see the cool technology, but I don't have as great of the technical sense of asking the questions that will make the implementation easier.
No, that makes sense. It's cool to see that perspective, not only from like yours, but your dad's too coming in. Cause a lot of times you hear it's like fourth, fifth, whatever generation starting it. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. You can literally, if you have the means, you can acquire a company and hire the right people and build it up. And that's really cool to see.
Yeah. And it's really great when you have a great culture, because we have very little people leaving. Like our retention is amazing, but it makes tackling all those problems that naturally happen in the manufacturing process easier when you're not worried about people leaving.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of competition in this geographical area for machine shops, so we are blessed on that side, but just treat your people well and pay them well, and it's usually a good recipe.
So I guess more about the culture too. Beyond that, I guess, is there something beyond that besides paying them good and treating them well? Like what was your foundation to build a good culture?
Also making them seem like they're part of something bigger. So I try to get all of our employees to kind of think as a business owner so that they're coming up with ideas, the cost, does it make sense? Getting them to think more involved and giving them the resources they need to be successful. So sometimes they'll come up with ideas that are not very expensive, but make the process so much simpler. And if you just execute and like, oh, here you go, get it. And it just creates a snowball of innovation where people are like, he's actually willing to do what we think is right.
Yeah.
And that's the point, is like a lot of the things I brought in, 5-axis, CMMs, lathe with live tooling, those are all things that people wanted for years. And I just only knew about it because they're like, we should get something like this. I was like, I don't even know what that is, but I have to watch YouTube videos on it.
Yeah.
So it's like I executed on what they wanted. They just didn't really have a good mode of communication from what they wanted to the person actually making the decisions.
Yeah, it's like
a stone wall before it even gets to the people making the decision.
I was going to say, it's like trying to dig a hole, but you only have like a spoon. It's like, can you give me like an actual shovel and I can make this happen?
Yeah, I'm not trying to do Shawshank Redemption here.
For this industry, what has been helpful to help you get to the next step? Like, have you had, is it mentorship? Is it relying on, I don't know, educational pieces?
I think mentorship, I think just having an amazing network, because we'll come into parts that maybe are a little bit above what I think our skill level or ability are, but we have people at other shops so we'll bend over backwards to help us through it, to help our programmers. So that's really helpful. And then recently we had an employee pass away, and a bunch of shops were like, hey, if you need support, we've got open capacity with these equipment if you have anything like that you need overflow. So having a network that's like supportive. And I think this industry, if you start looking at people as collaboration instead of competition, it just makes everything so much easier. And then when you have multiple companies like that, and then you got to do the same thing. You can't just always receive. You got to be able to help those companies and not expect anything in return. But if you get mutual beneficial relationships like that, that's why I think we've upskilled and why we're doing so well, is because we just have an amazing network.
No, that's awesome. Is part of it too, is like understanding your capabilities and maybe not accepting everything that comes in and kind of knowing like, hey, maybe we're not ready to attack this.
Yes.
Give it off to someone else, another company maybe?
A little bit. And I also think, look, like COVID for us, we were like, give us whatever, we'll figure it out. But now then when you get busier, you can, maybe not things that are too difficult, but things that the guys like doing, things that just flow better. You can be more selective on the work you get.
Yeah.
And so many people, especially sales that are tied to just one booking number. It's like, sometimes they'll slice things in there just for how much it was booking, but it's so disruptive. Recently, we're really trying to expand into, let's make sure operations loves this job. If they don't, no quote it. And not wasting our time on the things that are not a good fit, regardless of price.
And is that kind of orchestrated with the ERP? Like you'll know what.
Yes, and being able to see past jobs too. So at least the quoters can look at the last job and it'll compare what they quoted to what it ran with. And they could say, man, we are doing great, or I need to bump up the price. And then
that uptook.
Yeah. And then the guys can put notes in there. If they wanted to, they could say never again with this job, but they don't. They'll just complain to one or two people about it. But there is a lot of good communication between our estimators and our operations. So that's very helpful too. What we're trying to do is give them more structure on like, yeah, these dimensions, these parts run with that. And then like, if it's any of this miscellaneous, let's talk to see what our capacity is first before we overcommit. Because that's the thing too, is if you can win business, but if you don't execute on what you promise, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
That's got to be hard. How do you manage that?
We've been using a lot more Power BI dashboards to, see things in real time, putting some metrics. Gut feel is a little bit of it. Recently, we've been trying to capture how many new part numbers we're getting. So sometimes you'll get, $100,000 order. It's the same part. You just have to run it with automation. That's not hard. But then you get like 100 part numbers where it's like, oh yeah, man. So we're trying to put a cap on how many new part numbers we're taking in a finite period, just so that we're not just overloading the guys and where everybody's programming a new part and no spindles are actually turning because the quantities are low.
AI, how are you implementing that? Are you having your workforce implementing AI?
A little bit. So, Power BI, not really AI. That's just kind of automated. We use Cam Assist by Cloud NC. So we've been with them for, I think this is our 3rd year. So we're using kind of the AI assisted programming, which is helpful to the guys so that they're able to do more with their time. And then we're looking at using AI for training. So I bought some Ray-Ban glasses and visually record difficult jobs. So after the employee passed away, we have this really difficult lathe changeover. And so we're going to go through training on it again here in a week, but with the glasses. And then from there, I can just use AI to make work instructions and then plug it into my ERP system with videos, pictures, and work instructions. So it'll snippet it automatically and it's not very expensive. So that's kind of where we're using. We've tried it with contract review, but it just takes so long for AI to review some of the purchase order numbers where the guys gave up on it pretty quickly. Implementing in a couple months we're in the process of implementation with AMFG. They're kind of like a AI-based estimating model.
Okay.
They're UK-based too, so most of our AIs come out of the UK. But they've just been good people to work with, and they gave us a good deal. And it's cool how it can just learn and you put in the parameters, and it's kind of similar to paperless parts, I would attribute, but same idea, but different. I think it's usually more AI based, but they took me out in England to a pub and I won me over. So,
So were you out there for that specifically? Or?
No, I was out there for DSEI, which is a big defense show in the UK. It goes every other year. And then the prior year I was there for Farnborough Air Show. When I was there last, like the whole city was gridlocked and I had to walk like 10 miles to go meet them, and then walk 10 miles back. But beautiful day, had good shoes, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, the reason I ask is like, I know a lot of teams are trying to implement AI into stuff. Like you talked about training. I think that's a huge thing. It's like if you have people on the shop floor that can pull something up and just look it up in a database, like internally, that would be huge.
Yeah. And then as And in addition to AI, you have like augmented reality. So it's like you can have like the overlays where they're looking through it, and like they can put a part where it needs to be. If it's in the right area, it turns green, and then if it's not, it's like yellow. So they're just kind of bulky right now. I wish it was like the size of a Ray-Ban glasses and people could see it through the lens, but that's kind of our pattern for training in the future. But what's nice too is I think you have to have the right culture for AI to work, because if one thing that's great is like automation AI, the guys don't look at it as like I'm coming for their jobs, because I've pushed all this automation, pushed all this AI, and I've only added people. So now they're like, oh, it's just taking away the things I don't like doing. And so when I pitch AI ideas and things, they're very receptive, which if you're the one forcing and convincing, I don't think the success rate is going to be the exact same.
That's a good point. I hear that a lot too. It's like, it's going to create different jobs too, more specialized jobs, but it's only going to, I feel like, allow more capacity. Right.
Yeah, like repeat work is where I feel like AI is really good at, because it can learn and then it just does the same thing every time. Where humans can they'll change sometimes, not even on purpose, but subconscious.
How do you see the future of 2026? Do you feel like everything's kind of trending upward?
Yeah, I believe so. Because I mean, so at the end of February, we had booked, I think, 70% of our growth goal.
February.
At the end of February. So like we have a huge backlog. We keep winning more contracts with the Navy. And then we have, our normal core product that we're the only ones approved by the FAA to produce for some of the OEMs, which is helpful. So as they're also increasing how many planes they want to build a year, so that's helping. So I think as far out as I can see, I think 2026 will be our best year by every metric.
That's awesome. Actually, that kind of brings up something. I've heard some people that don't want to get the certifications. Why would you say that's not a good idea? Like you want to get the 9100, like push towards something that's more specialized.
Yeah, so we've had AS9100 since I think 2006, and we've also been doing business with the DoD since 2006. In our customer now, it's like 90% of our work requires us to be AS9100. So for us, it makes all the sense in the world. I personally think it really depends on your niche and market. I think like if machine company or machine shops can define like the work they want, and now if that work is for aerospace or even aviation or space, then they're probably going to need AS9100. But I think it's defining the moment you need to get that. And then you have like certifications like CMMC, where it's like if you're doing business with the government, you have to do that. Yeah. So there's some that have been forced.
Maybe because it's the rabbit holes that you have to go down. If you start that process, it's like, all right, you better be willing to invest the time.
And if you do have customers that are requesting it, we've leveraged like, okay, you want us to have these certifications, like Boeing wants us to have CMMC or long time and the equivalent. Yeah. And we're like, this is going to add a lot to our overhead just from all the fees that we're having to pay to stay compliant with all the policies and procedures. And they said at the time that they were fine with price increases that justified something they called it down. They'll always argue that when I come up for negotiations, but that's where if you use AI and recorder, I've used it for training. It's really good at when I know I've had a meeting about something and I'm like, who did I say? And it also makes action items for me automatically at the end of the meeting so I can follow up. I think it's good for data retention, and part of the AS9100 audit, I said that I did weekly startup meetings with the whole team, but I would just use like a post-it note. I just write down the same like kind of things and give that. And they're like, well, where's the record that you even did this? I was like, a series of post-it notes in the trash. And now I just put or the AI on my phone. I just record it. So now I can document. Like, what did you say on this date? So that's the main reason I did it, is because they wanted to give me a finding on my start meetings. And I was like, come on. No,
so what kind of work are you looking to take on? What kind of job?
I think recently we've really liked jobs with volume. So in the past, our average lot size was probably 20 to 10, and now we're doing hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of parts. So I think something that's kind of more 5-axis part that would fit in a 300 millimeter envelope so that we can palletize it and then run it on one of our pallet systems. So guys typically prefer aluminum. We do stainless, we do other exotic metals, but they prefer aluminum. They feel better with the automation and running it at night than they do on stainless. But I would say, so pretty much something that fits in that size envelope is where I think we're very competitive. And then we've got a great network of outside processing. We do paint and assembly in-house. So that's sometimes what we've differentiated it is, instead of managing like 4 vendors, we can do a lot of that in-house. And our assembly department does some very intricate, avionic components are very intricate, and that's what they're doing.
That's awesome. So is the ultimate goal it's not the ultimate goal, but lights out, right? Like you want to be able to just, hey, everyone clock out for the weekend or whatever, and then come back and you got finished.
Yeah, I would say more lights out because we do over the weekend, we'll probably have 2 machines running. And I was like, if I can double that in the next like 2 years and then double that in 4 years, I think that'll be great. I think we'll never be truly lights out on all the machines just because sometimes we just don't have the volume to justify it. Or, sometimes one negative thing of automating and doing a bunch of stuff on the weekend is this: if you're not upgrading your quality department, then quality is just getting this tidal wave when they walk in on Monday. So that's one thing. Last year, we prioritized our quality department. So we bought a new CMM so we can inspect things with tighter tolerances, added more people, laid it out more efficiently. So I think as we upgrade our machine capacities, we'll have to buy more CMMs as we automate more. And if you can buy more ones for the floor too, then the guys can do some of it themselves.
Yeah, that's really cool. So do you do a lot of cross training, or is that kind of
We do a lot of cross training, I guess, within departments. Now, there are some people that can go back and forth, but we have one gentleman that works in our quality department. Is also going to school for mechanical engineering and then also works in the machine shop. He's well versed. I'd say the guys do we're implementing more cross training like within the machine shop. So on different materials, different equipment, different things so that we aren't have one individual that knows how to do most things and everyone else is just in case, God forbid, that person gets hit by a bus. So I'd say cross training within departments are good. We don't have a lot of inter-department cross training, but there's no departments that only have one person. So there's multiple people in each department.
Okay. Something that's, I think, important and we probably don't talk about enough in manufacturing is the health and wellness.
Yes.
Like, how does that play into what you do as an owner and in manufacturing?
Yeah, for me personally, it's huge. Because I work out every day now, but before I would get here early, I'd work longer, and I was starting to get burnt out. But I also felt like a little bit of brain fog. I'm not sleeping great, but getting up every morning and working out before work, I feel like I do 12 hours of work in an 8-hour span. I just feel like I'm more efficient. Yeah. And I encourage everyone to have a little bit of at least some of that, or an activity or hobby that you're not just going to work all day and not doing anything else. I'd love to be able to put squat racks in here and be able to have wellness hours, but I think I need a little bit more margins before I start doing that. But if I have pushed some of our employees to the CrossFit gym that I go to try to get them involved. And having a community that you work out in is also helpful because then you have the accountability of one another. But I think wellness, eating right, sleeping right, all have a huge impact that I strongly believe people don't realize how big of an advantage that can be.
Yeah, and I think you posted about it because it's something I believe in a lot too, is the non-negotiable that you have. So maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So for me, it was really easy when I was in law enforcement and military because I felt like I was training to face a threat. And then after I kind of left that industry, I didn't feel like I had that sense, and I kind of probably also decreased my mental health too. Because when I work out a ton, I feel like all the dopamine. So I'm happier. But for me, it's I'm going to work out I work out Monday through Saturday, usually take Sunday off. If I have unreasonable travel and can't hit the gym there, and then I wear a whoop, and if my recovery is 1%, I'm maybe I should let my body recover. So those are really the only times I don't work out. Holidays, I'll still try to work out on Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, just another day. And those are the days you probably should work out more because you're about to consume a ton of calories. So it's why not? Those are days the gyms I'll drop into, except for Christmas. Usually that one's at home. But some of the Thanksgiving workouts I've done are absolutely brutal, and you feel no problem eating all that turkey afterwards. I just think it's great to have work-life balance if you are a leader, because you need to live the life you're preaching. So if you want your employees to have work-life balance, but you don't have work-life balance, then what kind of message are you sending? Yeah. So that's why I was if I'm going to pitch work-life balance, I'm not going to be, the person working 70 hours a week. Now there's times I have to put in extra hours. That's fine, but I always get the workout in first.
Yeah. It makes things a lot.
And it's an easy win at the beginning. You get an easy win at the beginning of the day, and then if the day goes to hell, at least you get a good workout in the day.
That's right.
Yeah, and if you get into sales and stuff, there's some psychology between being a fit person versus being not fit on like closure rates and things like that. But I mean, I just feel better.
And it's also, it's one of those things. It's like, if, especially like as I build these relationships with people, it's like, I want to see them live long. So why would I not bring it up to them? It's like, hey, I care about you. Let's, I've actually been starting to try to do that more. It's like, instead of going to get lunch, let's go like walk around or hike or something.
Yeah.
Go for a rock. Like, that's what I want to start.
Yeah, and I love it for trade shows. I'll drop in a CrossFit gym, and if there's people there, like it's an instant connection, and they're like, "Oh, 100%. Let's meet." So it's like, and you know, you have similar discipline and goals. So it's nice, and it's. And my 3 and 4 year old will go with me at 4:30 a.m. to the gym, and they love it. Now sometimes I bring in their breakfast, and their teachers think I'm a psychopath. But for me, it's like they get to see and my wife works out a ton too. So it's like they get to see both their parents eat healthy and work out. To them, that's going to seem normal, which I didn't have that. So yeah, I have like a squat rack, a box, like adjustable dumbbells and stuff in my garage, and my kids like it too. They draw all over that box. So I have like their handprints. It's wood. I don't care, but they're comfortable with it. And they like at the end of the class at CrossFit, they like getting on the rowers or the echo bikes. And
Don't remember that.
Yeah. I did like a Saturday workout, and there's other parents on like the weekends that bring their kids. Yeah. But like it was a running exercise, and they took off their shirts because I had my shirt off, and they're just running outside. They're like, "Good, Dad, I'm like you." And I'm like, man, that's awesome. Yeah, live life. Just be happy.
Yeah.
And the confidence I feel like kids will have by being in that environment will be way more too. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm stronger. Like, you're a little kid and you're strong. Like, it's like, I wish I was a 10-year-old that was jacked, you know?
Yeah. Well, Johnny, I do appreciate your time. For those that are watching, where can they find you, connect with you?
LinkedIn, so Johnny Goode, MSP manufacturer, so MSP-manufacturing.com is our website. We have a contact us, and then sales at MSP-aviation.com is a good email to get to most of the people in our company. LinkedIn's a good one for me. So, I'm usually posting regularly, so I try to respond to messages regularly. Don't always do the best with the sales one, so I do get flooded with sales requests.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, sir.